Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 32 of the Current Review podcast. Today we have on Kristi Ochoa, and she is the VP of Marketing at Rove Charging. And if you're familiar with Rove Charging, they're the company that's been building these really cool charging stations in Southern California, and it really elevates the luxury experience of charging, which I think is super exciting. And I guess just to get right into this podcast, Kristi, what do you think is missing in the EV charging experience today that Rove is doing a good job at accomplishing?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me. I'm super jazzed to be here. I think what has been missing, and kind of what we try to solve for, is a few things. One is fast charging, just the ability to not have to plan your whole day around a charge and it to be a regular answer for you. So on your way home or on your way to work, it's something you can stop off and get. So that's one. And we do that in a handful of ways. The scale of the property, the number of chargers we have. So, we can serve a lot of people on our location. We see about 700 people a day. And so no waiting. We're very seldom on a queue, but when we are, we have a team there who helps make sure the queue is moving. And with so many chargers, we can turn people around faster. So more charging, less waiting. The speed of the chargers, of course. But also, I think just education and support. Like oftentimes with networks, you're kind of like out rogue, and whether you're new or an experienced user, maybe maybe there was a software update, or the charger's having a bad day. Our engineer likes to tell me they're like people. They each have an individual personality. So you roll up to one and it has its own kind of personality and it's doing something you've never seen before. That sense of security and knowing that you can find a human who knows that machine and knows how to help you get that charge. So there's a bit of a guarantee you're going to walk away with something. And for a lot of people with, coming in a range anxiety, I see so many chargers in our data rolling in at zeros, and that gives me anxiety for them. But knowing that you can kind of always come to a Rove and get a charge, someone will help you through that QA, will get you into a new machine if something's happening, or will help you figure out the process. Sometimes it's just a matter of like, okay, let's just unplug and plug it in again. But when you're unfamiliar with that process, let's say you just picked up a rental car and you're trying to charge it for the first time, you don't know the steps that work best for the car you're in or the charger you're at. And so, and even just the experience between each of our different spaces. And so there's someone there who can see that happening and proactively reach out to you. You don't have to tap on someone's window and set off your social anxiety. You can, just find someone greet you. I think the other is just some basic, just restrooms. I think when you have 30 minutes and you're trying to run this as an errand you have in the day, having somewhere you can just stop in. A lot of people like to sit in their cars. It's either something they're multitasking or, they just want to decompress from where they were coming from or going to, and having a place where you can kind of step in, use the facilities. We see a lot of people filling up reusable water bottles and grabbing a bite in the recharge market, and then, just heading back out to your car, wait for your charge. So I would say that's it, but we're seeing a lot more networks kind of reimagine that in their own way.
I love Rove's approach, to be honest, of what you're mentioning. It's just like bringing back like human service to the experience, which I do think is lacking. Me personally, I travel a lot with my baby, my dog, and like having just a more welcoming sort of environment and sort of that comfort to know something is there is definitely something that doesn't really exist outside of maybe like the Tesla superchargers, which they're reliable, but there isn't like a human there. And that being said, so obviously, you've got Tesla, who's got a huge lead. I think I just saw that they just put out 35,000 stations, their 70,000 stall, which is amazing. To date, it's been a bit of like a numbers game of like just getting a ton of chargers out there. Whereas I think you guys are being a little bit more thoughtful, and you guys are, I think you're just breaking ground on your second site. And so with that, thoughtfulness, I think you spend probably a little bit more time thinking about where you want to go and the people that you're targeting and the experience that you're going for. So can you talk a little bit about like that thinking and that plan of where you guys think about as you start to grow in a more thoughtful manner than just deploying a million chargers everywhere in like Walmarts or something like that. Like
and
some
let me
others have
clarify,
done.
we would love to have more. I think growth is something we talk about pretty regularly. Like there's a ton of demand for what we offer. We have a growing community of people who are excited about what we have and how we're coming into a region. And we definitely want to be opening more of them. So we have really aggressive plans for the community, which does reside in Southern California. It's not our end goals. We would love to be everywhere, but can't do that all at once. And we've really committed to building a deeply ingrained community within, Rove. We host events for them and do education stuff, and our teams know them, and so we think it's important both for like the reliability of the machines and the maintenance and the building of this audience and a brand to have it in a footprint we're very, very familiar with, which is Southern California. We're based there, and so I think as far as locations are concerned, like when we're thinking about those locations, we're looking for deeply urban, deeply populated, and right off of major arteries in the community, right? Throughways, 405, some of these major intersections, because we really rely based on the scale to attract everyone. We want all types of EV users, whether you're a small business and you're running your fleet through the area for deliveries, you're a commuter and you just seem to pass through us on your way, from Long Beach to Murrieta, or you're, you live in the area. We have lots of people who just live down the street from us. We can handle the volume from kind of all directions. And so that's what we look for in a location. So we're very particular. And then, as you can imagine, having 40 DC fast chargers, we also require a lot of power. And so we really look for facilities that already have the ability, locations that have the capacity to handle that many chargers in one place. And that's difficult to find. Like you'll find larger stations out in, more deserted areas, places that naturally have more, not deserted, but, places kind of throughways, and there's not as much urban commercial stuff around them. It's because it's easier to get the power to those properties, but it's a challenge to find all these things in one location. But we have just big plans for the area. Our real estate team has just been working so hard. So we do have Santa Ana. Costa Mesa did break ground, and so we're hoping to open that location by the end of this year. But then we have locations that are kind of in process for Corona, Long Beach, and Torrance. Those are well underway. And then we just announced plans for Oceanside, Irvine, and Palm Desert. And we have a ton more we'll be announcing shortly. So it's moving.
Wow. It's exciting.
Like a freight train.
So then how is the setup of the Rove charging stations? Because there's car washes, there's like places to eat, groceries. So how does this all work? Does Rove own all of that? Or is it more of like, hey, well, let someone lease out our property that we own? I'm really curious on that front.
Yeah, so it's different for different locations. It just depends. We build each one based on the location itself, but Santa Ana, we're the developer operator of that. So most of the things on the property we're responsible for, with the exception of the Recharge Market, which our partners at Gelson's run exceptionally under their umbrella of just incredible service and great quality products. We couldn't have done that better than them. So just leave that for them to manage and, just continue to expand with their great products. But yeah, we take care of the car wash. It's been a kind of labor of love to look at that. We do the vacuums and the chargers and the canopies and the whole property we're kind of responsible for, which is great because the team there is very proactive about the cleanliness of it and proactive about making sure that, the everything in the area is best case scenario for each customer that comes on property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I would assume too, when you have someone charging there, the dwell time is going to be longer than, like, say, a gas station. And then you have all these amenities right there to use. Mm-hmm. So it sounds just like a really cool business opportunity getting involved. And it's kind of funny that no one thought about this earlier, because this seems like
hard.
Yeah.
Maybe they did. And it has been, we're bringing a lot of elements together and to make a whole experience. And so, we're seeing more and more of them become available. They just opened the Tesla diner, and it's been a work in progress for a while, and we're all really excited to see it. They've got, the Electrify America facility that's inside. So everybody's kind of looking at and reimagining this in their own spaces, but it's hard to do new things.
Yeah, you guys definitely seem like you've taken it to another level in terms of like going and offering the max services, right? Whereas, even though people are experimenting, I saw a review recently on a new Iona station, and they're still fairly humanless, a lot of vending machines and that sort of thing, which it can be okay. I think you can get away with, but, especially if you're in a long trip, sometimes it's just nice to have another human being, even if there isn't much value, like just having another human there is helpful,
And we even find so there's, new customers, of course, who don't know the journey or like have never come to a charger, and they're, kind of shell shock. We're actually right across from a dealership. And so a lot of the times we'll see new EV owners. They're like, I just bought it.
So you guys do a lot of education as well, right? Like a lot of that new EV driver education.
Yeah. So we do a lot of community events. So we're going to be planning some big things for National Drive Electric Month coming up. We just recently did some EV drive days. We did the block party for Electrify Expo, and our end goal is both to build a community with the existing EV drivers. So we really try to both show up for the events they're hosting and also host them on our property as well, like give people a destination, but also host things that can be attractive for new drivers so that they can get a bit more familiar with this, right? Like we EV adoption, everybody who was super comfortable with this idea of being uncomfortable driving them already bought their EV. And now we're, as more EVs become available and more options become available at different price points, we're seeing more people consider them because they make a lot more sense for them financially or just, size wise, like there's become a lot more family options and larger utility options. And so as more and more people consider these vehicles, they're just going to need more and more education about them to kind of, your first question is I want an EV, but then how do I charge it? And so when home charging in spaces like Southern California might be really difficult. And so you're kind of solving that problem for yourself before you buy a vehicle. And so it's been really nice to kind of think about that and how do we show up for the community. So doing ride and drives and having OEMs come out and feature new cars or even existing cars, give people the chance to check them out and in the place that they would charge them. And then, also doing a lot of, out in the community, attending events and kind of educating people about, what types of chargers and things you need to know as you're considering getting vehicles. But we're also going to be launching soon a program we call like EV 101. And essentially we'll just be using it as an opportunity to kind of bring new drivers on property so they can meet each other, right? You have common ground, you just shop the same time. And how do we show you how to plug in for the first time so you just have a bit less anxiety? Because once we kind of show you the mechanics of it, while we hope you come on our property because you're more comfortable, while we hope you come to Rove, that would be great. You just are going to feel a little bit more comfortable charging anywhere if you know what you need to look for. Like even just the difference between the plugs. I met someone once in a Target parking lot. I was charging my car and she was just given that car from a rental company, and she 100% was freaking out and absolutely trying to put the wrong plug in her car. And it was the middle of the night and it was dark and she was terrified and alone. And so it helped that, we were both female and she felt comfortable coming up to me. But, that's a little bit of what it's like kind of getting started in this game. And then as you get more comfortable with it, you know how to help others. And we found this community is just so incredibly wonderful and kind and, focused on kind of helping each other. Like I love seeing people outside their cars and just chit-chatting.
The community is great. I love it. That's been one of my favorite parts, is sort of like meeting new people at charging stations and just like, educating and getting to know them and helping sort of new drivers through the process. So I love that you guys are already sort of doing that and collecting that feedback. What would you say though because we know as industry sort of insiders that the industry is changing so quickly. You've got everyone going to NACS, plug-in charge is becoming more of a thing. Like, what are some of the things that you're hearing from community members as some of these changes are happening? Like, are they concerned? Is it just more education, that sort of thing?
Well, I think the established community kind of probably has a routine, right? So I think with those that are kind of in it, I see just more of a comfort. So they tend to double down on their cars. For those that I know, right? So if they had a car and they've already figured out how to public charge, they're doubling down. They're getting a second car because there's more options. So they're constantly looking at like what's the next OEM option out there. I gotta whatever, but now there's because they know what they're doing. They've already solved their charging challenges. So from the existing community, I would say that's, they're just doubling down the increase in cars availability and the solves they've found for infrastructure and how they're going to charge those vehicles have just enabled them to really just continue to fall in love with these cars.
Yeah, I mean, so many cool options right now. It's really exciting. Yeah, for sure.
No, it's crazy because like just a few years ago, it's like if you want it, you're like, I have a budget of $35,000 used. What can I get? And it was like you could either get an old Tesla Model S or like a Chevy Bolt, maybe like Nissan Leaf. That was it. And now it's like for under 35 grand used, you can find like Cadillac Lyrics, you can find Polestars, you can find Model Y. Like there's just so many options now. So,
and I think people are getting more comfortable too. Like even just like if they're wonderful cars, like when just super comfortable, like the amenities that they have in them, like the things people are thinking about and building them out for people's lifestyles. I think you just when you're willing to explore the option, you start uncovering all the really interesting things these cars can do to meet how you want to take them out into the world and enjoy them. Mm-hmm. Like the Lucids have massage chairs in them.
Very cool vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, I'd probably just sit in the car and just let it charge, and I'll recline all the way back and just get a massage while my car's charging.
We had I think they were on the property once, and we definitely had a few people come up missing. Where is so-and-so? And it wasn't hard to find people where they were, but it's I mean, such an interesting thing to consider, which you wouldn't really in a conventional vehicle. It wouldn't make sense, but I mean, what an interesting thing to add. And I think Rivian really thinks about their adventuring community, like how do you build that vehicle out for the lifestyle they want to use it for, and like that's really interesting too.
Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting to hear. And we had a guest on recently that talked about sort of the female experience going from gas car to EVs and how in his research, and I confirmed this with my wife as well, because she went to an EV and says, I don't miss gas stations. There's something about gas stations that's off-putting, particularly for females. Do you think what you guys are doing is solving for some of those issues in an EV experience, even though the dwell time's longer?
No, absolutely. We have a lot of females on our team, and we are really active in the conversation about like what makes us comfortable on a property. And we had a lot of discussions about that, and people's spouses, and really weighed in. And what you'll find about the design on the property, it takes a lot of those things into consideration. So for, the staff being there as far as like helping anyone, but, if you're, carrying a small child or, trying to manage people through the parking lot, right? There's someone there to kind of help you navigate that. There's under canopy lighting just for safety concerns. One of the things we talked a lot about, which you'll see incorporated in some of our future locations as well, is just this line of sight through to the restroom area. So, as a female, sometimes we think about like those snake bathrooms where you're there's a blind corner, right? And you don't know what's in that room and you're there alone, and that can feel very vulnerable. And so what we did was look at, gender neutral restrooms with one line of sight through the public area with security guards in the evenings. How do we secure those spaces so people know what they're walking into exactly? And those things matter.
Absolutely.
cleanliness matters.
Oh yeah.
You want to
No,
place
no.
where kids can touch things and not worrying about it. We added things, for, families in general. Like we have a scavenger hunt you can take advantage of. Our team noticed a lot of kids coming on the property and they wanted a way to engage with them. And so they asked for it. So we built it for them. And so they have something, if you bring small children to the property, it kind of engages them through. And then there's a little treat at the end.
Love it.
That's so cool.
Like little things, they wanted to have fun with it too. And so it's always fun when we can help them engage with customers on the property in the way that they can.
Well, it seems like that little stuff like that, like those little pieces of detail that like not everyone benefits from, but some people benefit from, is what makes the overall user experience so great. So that's
the lights are everything, right? Like even just in life, these little surprise moments that you can create for people that, just make it a little bit of a better day. We even do, if you, on our PCS machines, if you use a Rove account and you're signed up for our emails, we don't advertise it. But if you tap your app to pay, which you don't have to do on our property, you can use a credit card and that's fine. But if you do, we're able to kind of see your journey, right? And so what you'll find is that via email, we'll start sending you stuff. We'll just start giving, you might get a free car wash or a hat on your 15th. And we just try to celebrate those milestones because if you've chosen to charge with us, like we're just so grateful.
Very cool. So, I mean, selfishly, I'm not in Southern California, and it sounds like you're, doing a great job sort of really proving it out and being thoughtful with the sites starting in Southern California. And I think that makes sense. But when do you think you guys will start to go nationwide? And I mean, it's probably hypothetical and speculating at this point, but what do you think that would look like? At what point in time would a rollout look like?
Yeah, I think when we look at new markets, we're really looking for density and population. And so when you look at Southern California or like this like LA area, you're looking at like a multiple in density. So we're exploring other markets and just their capacity to meet that same density level all the time, not off the table. So
hey, the Northeast is pretty populated. I'm just saying, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, New England. I'm just waiting here.
You'll be the driving force to like hit that percentage threshold. So yeah, I mean, we're constantly looking at markets and, whether or not like they're kind of, and there are markets that are just kind of exponentially increasing their EV ownership on their own. And so, yeah, as those become more viable for us, like we'll start popping up other places.
Very cool.
Our goal is we want more than one location in a place. So we don't want to just build one 40 unit, center. We want to have 5 there or 10 there. And so it really just requires a lot of people to need charging.
Yeah, I think, oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying that I'm positive he's going to, by force of will.
Yes. I'm expecting in the next decade to be charging at a Rove station here on the East Coast.
Love it. We'll celebrate when that happens.
Yeah, because I mean, that is a huge latent need, is to have just like more nicer charging stations. Because like, especially here in the Bay, it's like, I drive a Model 3, so I got superchargers, which is better. But when I've had different EVs that I've driven here, and the fact I have to rely on like these other charging networks, and it's like you get to the station, there's like 4 of them there, 2 of them don't work, and then the one that you plug into is like all broken and stuff, and then there's like 2 people sword fighting in the back of the parking lot at night, and it's like, what's going on here? And just having, especially in these like super dense areas, to have like a nice like oasis where you can charge at is so important. And I know just as much as in Southern California as it is in the Bay, there's just so many EVs around. So that just seems like kind of the natural route, just to have a nice charging station. And also, I mean, there's so many people who live in an apartment and don't have access to level 2 charging. It's like, I live in an apartment. I don't always get charging here. I mean, there are charging stations, but it's just, a lot of times I just DC fast charge when I'm on the go.
Yeah, we find that's the case with with people. Like when you live in apartment complexes, it's gonna be really difficult to, either you don't have level 2 available to you there, or you're 400 people are fighting over 2 of them. And it takes a while. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to introduce more people, because when we opened this location and we see new customers every day, but it's always really exciting to get to be on site and to see people roll up for the first time, because it's always like a door open and like like just like kind of taking it all in. And then of course they get to plug in their car and everything, but it's really fun to be able to deliver that and continue to see this community support us the way that they have, because they've just been overwhelmingly positive about what we're building, which always helps.
Nice.
And then just out of curiosity too, so since Rove is open, or you're able to charge your car 24/7, do you have like a distribution of like the most popular times people come to charge? Because like obviously there's a peak hours, which is like 4 to 9 p.m. But since it's cheaper after 9, are there like people coming later in the evening, or what do you normally see?
Yeah, so when we launched, we had flat rate pricing. It's really just been for the summer that we've introduced what we're calling lightning savings, which is our answer to how we kind of redistribute people in less peak hours. We'd see more people taking advantage of it, but yeah, it's still convenient for people to come between 4 and 9. So I would say like weekdays probably still our most popular time of day. And weekends we see people kind of rolling in all day. I'm always surprised by how many people pop in late at night before they head, and I mean late, like on a Saturday. We have security on site. I don't know if you knew that. After 9, our team goes home and a security guard rolls in. So he's
Wow.
there to keep everybody.
That definitely helps on the safety. I've definitely been in my fair share of parking lots late at night with no lighting and being sketched out and attached to the charger because you have no other options, And
we see a lot of people napping too. There's a lot of, ride share or people who work multiple shifts. I ask people questions all the time, so I'm like, want to hear their life story. But
yeah.
But a lot of people work multiple shifts, and so we see a lot of like shades go up and sleeping, and a lot of notes about like how nice it is to know someone's kind of still keeping an eye on everything.
You're not going to have your car broken into while you're sleeping in it, right?
Honestly, I get terrified people tap on my window.
Yeah.
And it just being a fellow driver, but there's, you're just so heightened in that situation.
Kind of caught off guard,
It's nice to not worry about it. And then people are able, we secure the lounge at night as well. So our security guard provides access. And so I think people find that really nice as well, that they can kind of go in, know the door is going to actually lock, and that another individual is going to let people in.
Is there ever a world where you think that Rove would get involved with level 2 charging? So as much as I'm a big fan of better DC fast charging, I think something that I've come to realize as I've talked to more people with their experiences, there is a benefit to, I think, level 2 charging if you know that it matches with the time that you're going to spend on site. Like for instance, people at work is the most common one. For me is I think like we go to the state park a lot of times and we're there for like 3 to 4 hours. I don't necessarily need a DC fast charge, because I also find that fast chargers, it's hard to explain to gas drivers that like I actually have to run back to my car sometimes so I don't get idle fees, because we're just enjoying our stop so much. But is there ever a world where Rove gets into like level 2 chargers, or maybe like a level 2 plus that sort of matches a longer dwell time?
Yeah, it's not in the cards for us like today.
Okay.
But nothing's ever off the table. I think we're always learning from the industry and consumers, and new markets call for new types of things. So right now our focus is fast charging and being able to deliver a contained experience as fast as we can, because we do want you to kind of get back to what you were doing. But I use level 2 charging in the same capacity that you're saying. Like I use it when I frequent something and I need the dwell time, but I think you might be happy, but our chargers don't have idle fees on them.
Oh, that's nice. Because I will say that is something I've been hit with once or twice, just also because of poor connectivity. The worst scenario is, you plug in, you walk away, you have like lunch or something, and you're not getting the updates because like poor cell service or something like that. And then you come back and all of a sudden you're slapped with these idle fees. And this is also something that I don't want to do, because there's at least in the more constrained places, there's like a courtesy where like you're taking up a charger for people that are waiting. And I don't want to be that guy. But it sounds like you guys, because you have so many chargers and you've got these systems in place, people don't have to worry about that, which is nice.
Yeah. And even when we're, that's a bit of the luxury of the scale, is that we're able to do that. So all 12 of our ABB machines, like, we want to encourage people to, like, if you've come and you've plugged in and you need 5 more minutes in the market and all the chargers aren't full, then we want to give you the capacity to take that 5 minutes if you need it.
Yeah.
And our charging support staff is there. Like when we have events and, we've got chargers kind of come in rapid fire to join in on the event. We have some systems in place where we'll kind of tap people on the shoulder and be like, hey, do you mind, like, your charge is done, do you mind pulling over into some alternative parking? And because that's kind of how everyone operates, right? Just like the courtesy of kind of moving, we never have a problem with that. But it again, enabled by us having staff on the property that's able to just, ask people, and then they're more than happy to move their vehicles so other people can kind of pull in.
Nice.
So Rove doesn't have a subscription fee.
No.
Why not? So is that to like just get more people in there? Because like I could see the benefit also of having a subscription to a more luxurious charging experience.
Yeah, we get that question a lot, actually. All the way through before we even open the property, because of all of the value we try to unlock for people at the location, like free car or free vacuums and the car wash and kind of all those pieces. The reason why is because we wanted it to be as approachable for everyone as possible. So on our property, you don't need the app to charge. You can just pull up to one of our chargers, tap a credit card, and you get the same value that everyone else gets. You get access to all the same amenities. You benefit from all the same savings. So our Lightning savings applies the discount automatically to any type of charger. And we just felt like that was something we wanted to do, because as EV drivers, our founders was like, we want everyone to be able to enjoy this property in the same way. We didn't want you to have to download another app in order to use these chargers. It also comes with us being one location. We know we're not the answer for everyone every time. You're going to still need to keep those subscriptions, possibly to like travel outside of the area. But for today, it was just, we want to be easier for everyone, like just create convenience and ease for everyone to navigate EV charging in a place that they look forward to coming to.
Interesting. Have you considered a subscription though for like power users, I guess, like people who come back lots of times, where they could get a discounting charging rate or maybe like 10% off something in the market?
Yeah, we talk about it. I don't know what that'll look like yet right now with a single location. I think I'm hoping, as kind of the marketing side of this, that we can get more of a footprint. We can learn more about what consumers do. Right now, we're really just interested in building the audience, learning about what's important to them, learning how often they're using us, because we find people kind of fall in different categories. We get people who come 3 times a week. Some people come multiple times a day. And then we've got people who come more monthly. And so right now we're just celebrating their milestones. If you're a more frequent charger, then you tend to get more benefits from us because you're using the app more regularly. And so then we've got that kind of hidden perks program that they're benefiting from. So, as we continue to kind of understand what a power user looks like and what they want, and can offer them more footprint for their use, I think nothing's off the table. Everything's kind of up for grabs, and we'll start thinking about what we can offer them and what that type of model might look like for us.
Exciting. And I think just looking out into the future now, where do you see Rove's like primary position in the EV marketplace? Are you seeing Rove as, how I like to see Rove, I can imagine this as well, like just a good example of what EV charging should be. And is that kind of the whole goal of Rove?
Yeah, we don't look at it as like a point of comparison. Like, we're a more the merrier. Like, I like seeing the reinterpretation of what an experience looks like for consumers. Like, I think everyone's trying to elevate their experience in different ways and trying to learn from that. For us, we're really just trying to provide the best experience from both the experience our chargers are having now, so kind of evolving that into like what's next for Rove, but then also just the experience we had. So this original idea was based on EV drivers who our founding team were all EV drivers or enthusiasts, and they had these issues, right? Like not being able to find a restroom or having to run across a interstate with their kid to buy a burrito so they could use a restroom in a restaurant that they frequent, or, it just, and then the wait times and the unreliability. And so for us, it was all about solving those problems so people felt comfortable with these vehicles and the ownership of them, encouraging adoption on them. So yeah, it's just, we want to provide the best experience we can, raising the bar and really focusing on that, and then kind of growing. We want to show up for the community.
Exciting. And I guess to wrap this up, for people who are interested in checking out Rove charging stations, there's one location now, and there will be one very soon. That is the ones in Santa Ana right now, correct?
Yes. So you can go to rovecharging.com/centers. That is the pipeline of all of our locations, but our initial location is open in Santa Ana on the corner of 17th off the 5. And our second location is going to be off of Harbor Boulevard in Costa Mesa later this year.
Okay, exciting.
Very
and
cool.
Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to talk about Rove.
Thank you so much. This was great. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Stop recording. No. There we go.